Hello, hello, and welcome to the room. I will invite you to come on in, get comfortable, and make sure that you have everything that you need for this session and everything that you don't tucked away. This is a power session, so we're only together for 30 minutes. I'm going to do my best to stick to the 30-minute session to really just set you up for success this month. So put everything aside, shut your phone, or turn it upside down even, it's just powerful. And make sure that you have a notebook, make sure you have something to write with. We are here to create your game plan for a well-planned month. And what's exciting about this month is it's the first month of a brand new quarter. So declare it right now with me, just quietly to yourself. This is the beginning of a great month. This is the beginning of a great quarter. And we're going to plant seeds this quarter and this month that are going to really build momentum for you for the rest of the year. You know, this quarter is really important as far as getting things in motion, setting yourself up for a great summer, setting up yourself for a really strong close to the year as well. I love Q2. It's really, really powerful. So this time is going to go by quick. So make sure you are fully just here and giving yourself the gift of closing some tabs and being here. I'm going to stop my screen share here for a second. Hello. Okay, beautifuls. So this is not necessarily about goal setting. This is about creating a game plan. So my assumption is if you're here today, you already know the things that you're putting in motion this year. You know, you've probably participated in our annual planning or the well-planned quarter sessions that we just did. If you don't have that, don't worry. You can DM me and I can make sure that you've got the right links to put the foundations in place. Today is about creating a game plan. And this event at the beginning of every month, the first Monday of the month, is going to be about keeping that game plan in motion. So your goal doesn't necessarily change month to month. Your goal is the same. That's your mission. That's your objective. And my mission, it's always been the same for years. It's to help entrepreneurs create more freedom in their life. And I get to accomplish that goal every day by staying in motion, by continuing to show up in my business. And everything that I do in my business every day is for that goal. The game is the challenge that I choose to take on for myself and how I reach that goal. So that's the difference between the game and between the goals. And so when you're setting your game plan, this is about you getting to decide, what does winning your game look like? Where are you going to play your game? How will you play? And then when we approach our business, like it's just a game that we like playing, you know, bring to mind any game that you like playing. My husband and I are playing Ticket to Ride quite often right now. So I think about that and I think about, okay, when I sit down to play that game, what's the strategy that I turn on in my mind? I'm thinking about the strengths and weaknesses that I know about him. I'm thinking about my strengths and weaknesses. I'm thinking about what happened the last time we played. I'm thinking about the outcomes that I want. I'm starting to think about my strategy. And so it really just starts to allow us to be thinking about, well, how do we get to show up and how do we get to play? And we get to choose that as often as we would like. So we got to think about our business as if it's a game we like playing. And that really just changes our approach. It also kind of checks some of the emotions that come along with results and whether things are working or not working at the time, and say, well, if I'm just going to try and change the score, then I get to just adjust things. And when we're checking in with, you know, how are things going? What's the score of the game? Often is this moving us in the direction we want to go? Yes or no? Are we experiencing the results that we set out to achieve? Yes or no? Then, you know, as the leader of our companies, as the leaders of our mission, we get to just say, you know what, we can change and adjust our strategy at any time. So April it's spring. I can feel it outside. The sun is shining. There's seeds being planted now are going to set us up for a successful summer, successful fall, and really help put some wheels in motion. And momentum begins here, begins now, begins here today. And what I believe about focus, productivity, having a plan, time blocking, all of those things in our business, I believe the more we spend time on our planning, on our strategy about creating disciplines and routines and rituals in our business to move things forward and create momentum, the more we follow that plan, the more magic we get to create in our life, the more spaciousness we get to create in our life. And when we choose the right priorities, when we choose our focus, when we take the time to intentionally put the wheels in motion, we get to take time back. We get to experience less frustration. We get to embody and invite in more ease. And hopefully we get to experience better results, right? So that is the objective for these sessions. So let's dive in, and let's start by just taking a deep breath. Permission to move, permission to fidget, permission to adjust. But I just want you to turn the volume up of your breath. So notice your inhales, notice your exhales. And I want your breath to be so bold in this moment that you can hear your breath over any chatter, over any distractions. And we're just calling our presence in. We're just inviting our presence to take up a seat at the table. And on your next inhale, just scanning your body, breathing in, noticing how you're feeling in this moment, exhaling it out. And on the next inhale, I want you to choose an energy that you want to bring into the month of April. Choose that energy. What are you bringing to the room? How are you showing up? What's the energy that's coming up for you right now? And if you want to drop anything into the chat at any time, please go ahead and do that. Taking another deep breath into that seed that you're planting right now. Today's session is rooted in the theme of momentum. Momentum. It's a beautiful word. I love this. What does momentum mean? Momentum means the strength gained by motion or a series of events. A strength gained by motion or a series of events. Momentum increases power. Power moves things forward. What seed are you planting here? Steadfastness. I love that word, Alyssa. And I popped into the chat a link to the guidebook and the workbook that can accompany you to follow along with or use after this session, after you've kind of listened in and done a bit of brainstorming, to put your goals in motion. The theme of momentum in business, this refers to forward energy and progress that a company is making towards actualizing your vision. This progress can include growth, customers, products, measurables. This includes the actions that we're taking. This brings a business closer to realizing its vision. Momentum is what makes your business feel alive. It's what makes your business feel fluid. It's what makes your business feel in motion. Momentum is rewarding. It's fulfilling to see progress, to see things working and happening, right? Momentum does not happen from a standstill. Momentum begins with one action. Momentum begins with one action. So if you're feeling this energy of, I'm feeling like I'm not really sure what direction to go in, I'm feeling this way and that way, I'm being pulled, I'm feeling resistance. Sometimes in order to create momentum, we just need to choose one small action. Because momentum from a standstill is really hard. But momentum, when we start taking an action forward, that's when we start to build that power. And that power is that strength. And that's where we get to move things forward. So the opposite of momentum is resistance. And when we're setting our game plan for the month, we need to look at what we want to put in motion. And then we also need to look at what might be in our way so we can clear it out of the way. So we can be mindful when it creeps in, when we can decide and commit to our focus. And one of the challenges for creating momentum in business is not having a clear and focused vision or direction. And this can lead to feeling overwhelmed. This can lead to the unsure of where to start. What should I be doing? Lacking motivation, kind of depleted, not alive in our business. And additionally, not having defined goals or a plan to achieve those goals can also hinder your momentum. It's difficult to measure progress and take actionable steps towards success without actually having a plan. And another thing that hinders your momentum is a lack of accountability or support, whether that's accountability in yourself through rituals, through routines, through habits, through personal responsibility, through leadership, but also who's around you, who's helping you make it happen, and who's encouraging you to keep going. So as we go through this, I'm going to ask you some questions. Feel free to jot these down just in your regular journal or a notebook or something to writing. And every great goal setting session always begins with reflection. When we're thinking about setting the direction and what we're putting in motion, we got to study the past. What went well from Q1? What went well? What's a win? What is something that we are proud of? What is something that we accomplished? What is growth? What did that look like? What is an edge that we met? What went well? Secondly, what was tricky? What was tricky about Q1? What are the lessons learned? What are the obstacles that we climbed over? What are we going to do differently about it in this quarter? A great question I love to ask at the beginning of every month is, what's something that I've been meaning to do, but I haven't done yet, or I haven't started? What is something you've been meaning to do, but you haven't started? At the beginning of the quarter, when we reflect back to the beginning of the year and what we said we wanted, have we began? Have we taken the first step? What needs to be true going forward? What's the next thing we need to do? And what do we get to shift with that awareness? So I want you to put a win in the chat if you've got something you'd like to be seen in, or just thinking about that right now. And creating wins and celebrating our wins is actually a really great place to create momentum from. Sometimes it feels like we're starting over. Sometimes it feels like we're starting from scratch. Sometimes it feels like we're starting from ground zero, but we're not. When we take the time to sit down and write a list of wins and what's going well, we see that momentum is already in motion. And so celebrating ourselves is how we build this hill that we're already standing on top of. And then we get to move from there. So what's a win from the first 90, from the first quarter of the year? And as you're looking back, you might be looking at your goals, at your objectives, as all of the things you put in motion as, it went this way or went this way. It either was a success or it was a learning. You might be feeling a certain way about any of those things, right? But I want you to check in with the energy that you currently have of how Q1 went. Maybe you are, celebrating a lot of wins and things are going really well. That's awesome. Maybe you were met with a lot of resistance. Maybe you were met with a lot of challenge. Maybe you're a little bit frustrated. Maybe things didn't go as planned. That's okay. Honor that. But I want you to check in and say, what am I potentially holding on to from this last month or this last quarter that is taking up the mental, emotional, and physical space for you? What are we holding on to that is taking up mental, emotional, or physical space? Can we look at them through the energy of lessons? Can we look at those through the energy of growth? And if you decide to clean that up and let it go, to let go of the mental drain, the emotional baggage, or shake that out physically, what could you decide to create more space for? What would there be room for if you let that go? So decide right now, as we step into a fresh month and a fresh quarter, that this gets to be that blank slate, that we get to infuse that with new energy. We don't want to take the baggage from the past. We want to take the lessons from the past and we want to turn it into growth and put it back and propel it forward as its power and strength and momentum going forward. So what does that look like for you? What do you get to create room for and decide to let go of? And then what do you get to fill that space with? Opportunity, potential, forward motion, results, all those beautiful things that you want for this upcoming quarter. Yes, some wins coming into the chat, which is amazing. So incorporating, starting a partnership, publishing firm, amazing. Celebrate yourself. Take the time to acknowledge yourself and the moves that you're making. And if you haven't done so yet, take time to intentionally go reward yourself and celebrate yourself, because when we have positive behavior, positive new things. When we stop to experience the journey, the motion along the way, that is truly the confidence boosting mojo that we need to set direction in forward motion. So once we've done our reflection, we've got those questions, we're thinking about what we can do better. We're thinking about setting direction. So 30 days is not a lot of time. 30 days is not a lot of time. It's going to go by in a blink, right? The seeds you're planting now are going to start to blossom. They're going to start to bloom. As the leader of your company, you always need to be thinking with the end in mind. So these next 30 days are directed by your 90-day plans, your annual objectives. Right now, think about 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Start with the end in mind. So what is complete by the end of Q2? By the end of June, what are we celebrating? What is already done? Maybe write a few things down that are coming, jot them down, like what's coming up for you? What is already done on June 30th? We're going out for lunch. You're telling me, Mandy, it was the best quarter I ever had. Here are the results. What is that? What is that? What is complete by the end of this quarter? And then what do you need to set in motion this month in these next 26 days to make that happen? What's happening this month? What are the special events? What are the major projects? Where are we going to spend and invest our time and energy? So looking at that question about what is complete by the end of this quarter, assuming that you completed this, what steps did you take? How did you focus your time? How did you focus your energy? How did you focus your effort? How did you nurture your customers? Where did you prioritize your business development? What does your team look like and feel like? How did you prioritize and take care of yourself energetically? How are you feeling? When you open your bank account, what is that experience? What did you say yes to? What did you say no to this month, this quarter, in order to actualize that vision that you have by the end of June? So when we're thinking about setting direction, we have to be really, really clear what matters most. What is the most profitable way to be leveraging your time? One thing I love to do every month is root my objectives into the financial target. And it's not only about the money, but what that financial objective does, it gives us something to anchor into, and it helps us choose the priorities that are going to help us leverage our time best. And that helps every day become easier and helps us choose better, set boundaries better, choose our time, choose our blocks really wisely, right? So what's the financial objective? What's the sales objective, the profitability objective? Maybe you have a growth objective this quarter. Maybe one of your numbers that you're rooting into is increasing your reach. Maybe you are increasing your leads, your traffic, your customer base. How are we growing? And what are some of those numbers that help us anchor in our priorities? The financial target that I set for the month, I then look at, say, well, what's the sales objective? What's the major money maker, whether it's this month? I have a service-based business. So the way I look at it is, what's on the menu for this quarter? Is there a particular initiative? Is there a particular program? Is there a particular offering that I'm focusing on? And how am I focusing on it? Where does that live in my calendar? Each month you can pick one thing. You can treat it as if you're looking at a menu and saying, here's what we're featuring this month. That's a great opportunity to be connecting with your clients when you've got one particular thing on the menu and you're saying, this is our featured offer. It's limited time. You should try this. This is why it's the right time for you. Those kinds of thinking about and putting that into perspective for yourself, your team, and your customer is also a really great way to be prioritizing how we're connecting and communicating with our customers all the time and informing them of how we can best be of service. Most customers don't even know what their options are, and that's because most businesses aren't reminding them what the options are. We live inside of our business all of the time. We know what's for sale. We know what our offers are. We know what the product is, but they don't spend as close a time with us. And so we need to, it might be 6, 7, 8 reminders for people to remember, oh yeah, That's what you do. That's how you can help me. That's the next step that I can take. We have to make it easy for people to know what's available and what's on the menu. So start with your financial objective. What are you rooting into this month? Is it a profit goal, a sales goal, increasing your revenue, increasing your growth, your leads, your customers? I want you to think about a metric-based goal that matters to your business right now, and pop that into the chat if you want, or just scratch that down onto your page. And that's where we start. And when we create a monetary goal, I like to do it in 3 different ways. Create the easy goal, one that we know we're going to be able to achieve. Create the middle goal, one that would require a little bit more focus and effort. We might have to try different things. We might have to stretch ourselves a little bit. We might have to get creative or innovate. And then the third is a stretch goal. That's like this, how do we stretch ourselves? How do we expand possibilities? And that's where we get to think bigger in our businesses about what would need to be true if I wanted to complete that, if I wanted to actualize that, what would need to be true? Here's a fun thing I want to give you. When you have that money goal, when you have the money goal, so right now, wherever you are, on your journal, on your notebook, what's the number that's popping into your mind that you want to put down on that page? What's the number? Put it down, write it down. That might have come out of nowhere, or you might have already had that plan, or you might be surprised by that number, or you might not. I want you to scratch that number out and turn that into an action item. A number is just a number without actions. So we need to look at our numbers and turn them into actions. Who do you need to become to make that happen? Who do you need to be to play this game? What are the actions you need to take to make that happen? Your easy goal, your middle goal, your stretch goal. You might have 3 different columns. Easy goal, I remain status quo. I do exactly as I'm doing. Middle goal, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Stretch goal, I need to make 20 sales calls every day, right? What are the actions that we need to play or need to put in motion? There's something I love, thinking about our business as a game that we're playing, is this analogy is, are you on the court or are you in the stands? Are you on the court or are you in the stands? So what does that mean? Well, imagine you're at a game, you're at a hockey game, you're at a football game. I don't know, you're watching your kids play volleyball. You're at some sort of game and you're sitting in the stands. And when you're witnessing sports or a game taking place in front of you, and there's this, you hear around you, like there's this peanut gallery, right? It's like, oh, shoot. Oh, you should have got this. You should have got this. And it's easy to participate in that because we can see what should have happened, right? But we're sitting in the cheap seats. We don't have the ability to change the play. It's easy for us because we're not actually in motion. We're not doing the work. It's easy for us with popcorn in your hand or, a beer or whatever, and you're telling the players what they should be doing. Versus when you're on the court, you actually have the ability to change the play. So are you on the court or are you in the stands? Are you looking at your business? Are you looking at your results? And you're saying, and you're just building the strategy, or are you actually in the game? Are you taking the steps every day? Are you taking the actions? Are you taking a step out to look at, well, what would be the best strategy to make that happen? So I love seeing some goals already dropping into the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Choosing to get on the court, choosing to play already makes you a winner. It already makes you a winner. So just choose to play. And don't just play to play, but play to win. And what could it look like for you to be the MVP in your business this month? What could it look like to be the MVP in your business this month? We need to look at all of those actions and then say, which one is the priority I'm going to put in motion this month? You can do anything, but you can't do everything. And what we choose to do and what we choose not to do in the essence of a month or a quarter is really, really important. So once you've got your priorities and you understand, okay, these are the 3 actions, let's say 3 to 5 actions that I can put in motion this month. Once you understand that, then we get to say, where does that live in your calendar? Where does it live in your calendar? As far as I'm concerned, if it doesn't live in your calendar, it doesn't actually exist. And if you do not put you in your calendar first, there will be no space for what is important to grow your business and prioritize your energy. So here's what I see happen. Here's what I see happen often in entrepreneurship, in business, and leadership is entrepreneurs are saying, there's no space for me. There's no space for me. It's all work all the time, but I don't have enough time for my life. I don't have enough time to move my business forward. I'm so busy working on the business that I'm not actually working in the business. So we have to put ourselves in our calendar first. We are often fitting ourselves into what is left over in our schedule after work is done. But I want you to flip that. And I want you to decide that you're going to fit your business into your life. And the only way we can do that is by putting that in first. Otherwise, we burn out. We continue to repeat the same thing. So once you have your goals, your priorities, you get your calendar out and you put all that in first. And this is not only, when I say put yourself in your calendar first, this is not only your health and your life priorities, but this is your needle moving business objectives. Block the time in your calendar. And I want to break this down for you. And inside my collective, and when I work with my clients, this is one of the first things that we do is we learn how to calendar block and time block and claim our space. But we got to claim space for ourselves. So create a date with yourself each week. The beginning of the week, you're here already. Yes. Take some time a little bit later today to put these things in motion. And then the second thing is end of the week. The end of the week check-in. Am I on track with what I said I was going to do? What is the score? What am I keeping track of? What happened? What were all the things I put in motion? Did I stick to the plan? Did I need to change the play? How do I do things differently next week? A plan isn't going to be worth much if you're not sticking to the plan. And every hour that you, as the leader of your mission, prioritize in planning or strategic work is actually saving you 10 hours of implementation. So another sort of excuse that I'm hearing from leaders all the time and entrepreneurs all the time is there's no time. I don't have time to plan. I think you are taking 10 hours of your time back if you sit down and plan. Imagine what that ends up with at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, right? We're prioritizing the most important things. So we got to focus on the essentials. We got to focus on putting things in the calendar, taking space for ourselves first. And every week, and I can hook you up with a checklist to have in that meeting. If you would like one, you can just pop in the chat, say checklist, and I'll send that out in the email following or in the chat following. But every week we get to set our weekly top 3 that is helping us with that growth objective, which is helping us with that revenue objective. How are we setting the top 3 things every single week that are helping us build priorities to build, grow, and scale? And if you don't know what those things are, what you should be saying yes to, I'm going to help you out with that. And I'm already over time because we started couple minutes, but I'm just going to keep rolling with it. So hopefully you can stick with me. And if you can't, I'm going to send the replay out for you. So when you are in build or grow mode in your business, the most important things, and I like to abbreviate this as MITs, the MITs in your business are business development, strategy, marketing and content, delivery of your product and service, AKA doing the work, admin, tech, and process, and then your team. Those are the 6 things that you, as the leader of your mission, should always be prioritizing. And you should be checking in. Am I doing one of those things every day? So what is most important to you right now? And where does that live in your calendar? What I like to do is I like to create deep work blocks. These are distraction-free times. Work with what you have. I always like to have 90-minute to 3-hour blocks, and you can pepper those in your week when you know you can be most consistent and when you know you have the most amount of energy. We got to put ourselves first so that we can continue to focus on our growth, right? So for me, I do this 3 times a week, first thing in the morning, before I take any external meetings, before I do any emails, before I dive into any client work. These blocks can rotate based on one of those 6 things that I just mentioned. So one day I might dedicate my time specifically to sales. One day I might dedicate my time specifically to strategy. One day I might dedicate my time specifically to marketing and content creation. One day I might dedicate my time to delivery of my product and service, which might be building a strategy for one of my clients, or building a new course, or building a new program. One of those days might be completely dedicated to my team, or to my tech or building process. So those can rotate all the time, but if you put those in your calendar, you can put them in as repeated events. And I talk about this in detail in my time rich course and program. So if you haven't taken that, if you're not a part of my membership community and you haven't accessed that, I highly recommend that you do that, because I walk this through in detail. But imagine, you put all these in your calendar, you've got 3 deep work sessions per week, and you've just put it in there as a recurring event for the rest of the year. Now, when you start your week, you open up those calendar blocks and you just write in there to yourself what you're going to do during those times. Everything has a place, which also saves the mental effort and energy and the overwhelm and the overthinking of when am I going to do everything. It is designated, it is in a time block, and it has a place. And now all you need to do is activate your discipline and consistency to show up and show up to that very important date, which is a date to yourself for your deep work and your time. So look at your time capacity in this season. What is possible for you? When can you be the most consistent? Where can you carve that time out? I have entrepreneurs in my community that love doing full days of batching for some of these things, because it's just so nice to be able to get into a flow and a rhythm with one whole day, rather than trying to fit it in all the place. I personally like 90-minute, 3-hour blocks. What is your time capacity? What is possible for you? What are you working with? What's going on personally for you in your family? What hats are you juggling? Decide what's possible, and then put those into your calendar. Time blockings, love it, love it, love it. If you have a team, I highly suggest taking these priorities and anchoring them into a project management system, something like Trello, Basecamp, Asana, ClickUp. Take these big priorities, these big tasks, and break them into small, actionable steps. Doing this once a month will save you so much time and frustration, and help you with communication in your team. When your whole team can transparently see, and then you can assign and delegate, then your job as the leader is to get your team in motion and help your team creating momentum. So as a leader in your team, you say, who needs to know this? Who can help? Who am I communicating? Who do I need to communicate these things to? And then we just ask ourselves, how do we show up, and how do we support ourselves to actually move the needle with daily disciplines? The one thing that we get to be in control over is our level of responsibility for ourselves, our level of discipline. Sometimes the only thing that we can control, that is in our control, is if we are just sticking to our word, if we're just showing up, if we are just disciplined and showing up with a level of responsibility for ourselves. So are you willing to get up every day and show up for yourself? Are you willing to confront the challenges that might be thrown at you? Because there's going to be a lot, it's like we set the goals, we put it in motion, we got the strategy, we got the project management, we got the calendar, and then boom, life happens. So are we going to continue to be flexible? Are we going to continue to be disciplined? Are we going to continue to be consistent? And also in that calendar, do we have open space for pivoting, for flexibility, for thinking, or are we back to back to back to back to back, and there's actually no room for anything to fall off? And that's where I see whole plans get derailed, because we just get so far behind. So when we've got the right priorities in place, when we're clear on our yeses and nos, we not only get to focus our time and energy, but we also get to know and create transparency on what we get to say no to create space for what really matters. So that is a little bit of how to set your direction for the month, how to create momentum in your business. Now, every month I want to introduce a little challenge that it's totally optional for you to participate in. These challenges I'm going to introduce inside my community as well. And the challenge of the month is created to help you stay in motion and create motion. Everyone needs a little accountability. So this is a fun way to do that. And the challenge that I want to put into play this month is about conversations. So when we're thinking about growth, when we're thinking about growing our revenue, growing our customer, increasing our leads, increasing our traffic, increasing our customers, conversions, all the numbers that make our business grow. When we're thinking about that, sales and conversations and business development is the most important thing. Sales can be overwhelming and it can also get really distracted. And I'm seeing this in a lot of rooms that I'm sitting in right now with AI coming to the table with so many automations. People are trying to automate so much of their process and their business that they are automating relationships. So trying to automate relationships. I want you to prioritize your relationships. There are levels of automations that can help your business be more efficient and productive. I preach this all the time. I talk about standard operating procedures in our business all of the time. Very, very important. We can't automate intimacy. We can't automate connection. And a funnel can't create conversations at the capacity that you can. Over the next 21 days, so these are business days in this month, I would love to invite you to participate in a challenge that is about initiating 5 conversations per day. Can you build momentum with relationships by initiating 5 conversations per day? How can you bring more of you, more personality, more relationships to your business? How do you do that? You stimulate momentum by initiating conversations. These conversations could be new potential clients. This could be an old customer you haven't spoken to in a while. This could be an industry peer. This could be one of your current leads. This could be connecting with people that you're just, interacting with, that are people that are engaging in your content. Have conversations with them. Your challenge is to start practicing conversations, not with a specific outcome in mind, but just to get to basics, to deliver value, to check in and remind them that you're there, to remind them what's on the menu, to help pick up an old conversation where it left off. So if you're up for that, if you're up to the challenge, yes. Okay. Tracker. Amazing. I'm going to send the email out afterwards and I'm going to give you a tracker because I created a little tracker that I think can be really powerful. And it's a very simple spreadsheet, but it's to help you stay on track with the conversations you're having. If you have a more robust CRM tool, amazing, use that. Don't get distracted with the tools and the tech to get this set up. You can literally put a Post-it on your desk and put a tally every day. This can be so simple. 5 conversations a day. This is where momentum gets stimulated. Last month in our collective, we did a boldness challenge about getting visible. This is momentum in motion, my friend. This is energy. This is strength. And this is power in the forward direction. Conversations are how you grow your business. So, lastly, I want you to set an intention for yourself. Who do you need to be in your business? Who do you need to become in your business this month to make this happen? Act as if it's already done. It's already complete. You have worked towards, thinking about the end in mind, 90 days from now, 60 days from now, 30 days from now. What are we celebrating? What is already complete and what needs to be true to make that happen? This is you choosing daily training to play the game. An athlete does not just show up and play the game on the day of. It's not just game day and they show up and they're like ready to go. You got to practice, you got to stretch, you got to train, you got to rest, you got to feed yourself, you got to nurture yourself, you got to commit to yourself, you got to be disciplined. You need the right people at your table. What does that look like for you? How will you play the game this month? What's on the do not do it list? What are we putting in motion every day? What are the rituals? What are the habits that are going to allow you to show up and be successful? And the last question I want to leave you with is, who could you ask for help from? Who is someone that can help you? Who do you need to enroll in your success? This might be a family member, it might be a friend, it might be a peer, it might be a team member, it might be a coach, it might be a mentor. Who do you need to ask for success from? Ask. Ask. What have you got to lose? You are so much more likely to be successful in your endeavors, in the things you're putting in motion, if you are not the only one that knows about it. Take the rest of today to think about how you are going to set up your month for success. Ask yourself, how am I going to play this game? How am I going to do it? Think about your middle goal, think about your stretch goal, break that down and say, what would need to be true to make that happen? What would need to be true to make that happen? Let's declare it right now that this is going to be your next best month and your next best quarter. Don't ghost your goals. Put them somewhere you're going to see them. Momentum in your conversations. Keep it simple. Stay focused. More focus equals more magic in your life. So that is it. That is all for the first of the well-planned sessions. Because this is new, I wanted to offer a little treat today for anyone that is here or watching the replay. I am also sending my calendar link out, and I am offering a 15-minute check-in call. April 20th, I've cleared my day. I've cleared my whole day to take calls, and I want you to claim one of those 15-minute spots. And if you claim one of those spots, I will give you a call. No video. This is just a phone call. I'm going to call you. We're going to have a 15-minute conversation on your progress. We're going to see what support you need and what your next move is. So after this, I'm going to send you a tracker. I'm going to send you a checklist, and I'm going to send you my 15-minute calendar link. And I want you to claim a space and let that be your accountability, that when we talk on the phone, you're going to tell me what actions you took. You're going to tell me how your conversations are going, and you're going to tell me how focused you've been. And then we're going to talk strategy about how we dial up the volume on that. Does that sound good? Okay, amazing. We're planting seeds here. I would love for those of you that are here, pop in the chat. What's one thing that is resonating right now? What are we taking away from this? And I'm going to close my recording. Thank you, thank you, thank you for those of you for claiming this space and being here.